all they did was like shoot up into the atmosphere and then come back down and like hold a daisy. That was or whatever happened.
I'm telling you, that was a ride. That was a ride at an amusement park.
Yeah.
The After Party Podcast, and we're here. There's Gandhi, and there's Danielle, and Skiri, and Scotty B's joining us, and there's Straight Nate. Okay, we got a house full. Hey, I know that, Gandhi, you and Danielle both finished the OceanGate Disaster, Titan, the OceanGate Disaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I started it, and I was just telling them a second ago that I wasn't in the headspace to watch it because it was so sad, and it was infuriating also.
It was outrageous.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, outrageous. So let's talk about it. I mean, it's getting a lot of views for many reasons. One, it's a big piece of story history for us. We saw it unfold. Mm-hmm. Remember when they said they only have so many hours to breathe down there?
Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we found out what was really going on. So where do you want to start?
I mean, I think it's a really good tutorial in exactly what not to do, especially when it comes to running a business and or science and engineering. Yeah. You hire people around you for checks and balances, to tell you and fill in the blanks about the things that you don't know, and then you're supposed to listen to them.
Right.
And that did not happen here. And I just thought through the whole thing, which is what I was asking Danielle, his team, because so many people on that team left.
Yep.
Because they said, what the hell is happening here? Yeah. This is wildly unsafe.
Because they knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah.
They knew, and they didn't want to be part of it.
So all these people left. So I was asking her, do you think when that first news bulletin went out, hey, the OceanGate submersible has gone missing, every single one of them was like, oh, yeah, we know exactly what happened.
Yep. Because I thought, how many times during that documentary did you see it? They were testing different ones, and it would go down, and the pressure would get so bad, and then it would explode.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy that that's actually how the guy dies, and he's testing all of this. So I think they knew right away that it exploded.
For sure.
100%.
That implosion stuff is wild, and the fact that he put his body in it every time was fascinating. Part of me respected that because he was like, I believe in this.
Yep.
I'm going to go down and do it. But it's like, imagine you have a car, and as you're driving the car, all of the lights and, all the warnings are going off, and then the engineer of that car is like, hey, if you go past this speed, it's going to be a bad thing, and you're going to die. And then you say, cool, just kill all the lights. I don't need to see those. That was what this guy did.
Do you remember?
It was really interesting how he was telling everyone on board, hey, if you hear alarms, just ignore them.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll get through that.
Yeah.
No, alarms are there because they're alarming you about something going wrong.
Exactly.
And there was one thing that they did where he wasn't supposed to drive the actual capsule thingy, and he decided last minute that he wasn't even trained in it. He was like, I'm driving. And the guy who was supposed to drive was like, no, I need to do it. And what did he do? He drove it right into something.
Yep.
He hit something with it. And then he stopped talking to the guy who initially was supposed to drive it. And he was just like basically like a baby. I'm not talking to you anymore, and like ignoring him because the guy told him what was going to happen. I mean, ridiculous.
Well, look what happened here.
Total narcissist.
Well, this guy, total narcissist.
Yep.
He didn't stop to think that he was putting these people's lives in danger.
Nope.
No.
Including his own.
Yeah.
And these poor people trusted him. And he gave them obviously enough information to make them think he could be trusted.
Yeah.
And just dangerous. People put other people in harm's way every single day in different forms of this.
Yep.
And he lost. He lost big.
For sure. And I think, Nate and I were kind of talking about this. He seemed like somebody who really didn't understand the concept we talk about all the time, which is failure is part of your road to success. You are going to have setbacks. That's how you learn, and that's how you get better. But he wouldn't accept any of the pieces that were failures. He just kept thinking, nope, I don't accept that you're telling me this is going to break. I'm powering through. And look what happened. The ultimate failure. You have to really lean into that stuff because it's important.
I want to know more about the people who trusted this guy. And why didn't they do their research or, and properly vet him and his company?
Are you talking about the customers, or the people who worked with him?
The customers. The customers that went down there with him.
Well, that says a lot about us and how we just sort of believe everything we read. Scary.
Exactly.
Scary. I mean,
guilty as charged.
Anytime. No, I'm not saying it makes you a bad person, but if you start believing every little ad you read and every quote unquote science results or research results that come out about this pill, that pill, this food, that food, and you believe all of it, then you march right behind him. And that's what they did with him. He said just enough to make them believe
Yep.
that it was okay to go down.
Even his own people wouldn't go to, like, they asked, like, so would you have gone into the submersible yourself? And the people that worked with him were like, nope.
No.
Well, so should any of them be held accountable or somewhat accountable
They
for this?
tried. They all tried. They all tried.
Some of them did have to end up testifying in front of the committees that were investigating what happened. But most of the engineers left or were fired on their way to doing this. So the people who were kind of left behind were almost the like weak links of the team.
Yeah.
Who it is. I mean, they should
Crazy.
definitely have been held accountable for some of the things. But they were also saying, part of the way he convinced people was because it had made it down there a few times. But every time it went down, it got weaker. Because every time those clicks and those pops, it was breaking. And then they sent out this rattly, horrible thing. And that's what happened.
Ugh.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Let's talk about exploration as a whole. Hopping on a craft that sends you up into outer space, going into a submersible to go down and see the Titanic. I mean, you do have to basically submit and just put your life in people's hands and their team's hands. But you want to be an adventurer. You of all people here on the show, Gandhi, you are the closest to being one of those.
Oh, thanks.
You would. So how would you have vetted this guy? How would you have explored the goods and the bads of what this could have been?
That one's kind of tough because I'm looking at it in hindsight where I say, hell no, I would never do that. If I had been in a position where I said, oh, this thing's gone down so many times, it must be fine, I think I could have seen myself saying, yeah, I'll roll that dice. It's happened so many times. What could possibly go wrong? And now that I've seen this, I would not do that. I would like to believe that, teams are in place for reasons, but now we're learning this guy didn't do it that way.
What
feel
about
bad.
the SpaceX thing? Danielle, Gandhi, what about the SpaceX thing several weeks ago? Katy Perry shooting into outer space with Gail King or whoever they're with. I mean, seriously, they all put their lives in the hands of these people.
Right.
And there was a chance that could have gone south.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't think that trip was worth it. All they did was like shoot up into the atmosphere and then come back down and hold a daisy
That was
or whatever happened.
I'm telling you, that was a ride. That was a ride at an amusement park.
Yeah, if there was a chance to maybe go to the moon and step on the moon or go to Mars, maybe I don't know. But now that I've seen this documentary, I'm going to do a lot more research and ask for the engineering reports before we go.
But I got to back up, Danielle. You said something that was a ride at an amusement park. It wasn't.
Okay.
That was not a ride at an amusement park.
I know,
that was
but
much
I've been
more
on the
serious than hopping
atmosphere and it goes up and then it goes back down.
Well, it's not
I
the
feel like
same
it was similar.
thing. You know what? They received backlash and whatever. When they came back down to Earth after their 5 seconds in space.
Yeah.
But they were taking a chance for their lives.
Yeah, they
up there.
definitely were. I'm sure they had to sign lots of papers.
Right.
You
But
know, 'cause you don't know.
I'm talking about what you're thinking and feeling inside when you're about to hop on board one of those crafts, either under the ocean or into outer space. You're thinking, okay, this could be it.
For sure.
Yeah, of course.
Have any of you guys, how many people here have gone skydiving?
Nope.
I have.
No,
Nobody.
thanks.
You have.
Hmm?
I think it's sort of akin to that, and Nate, you have too.
I have, yeah.
It's like that feeling as you're stepping out of the plane where you sort of just have to surrender.
You have to.
There's a chance. There's a chance that this chute doesn't open. There's a chance I hit the ground. But that feeling in the moment of doing something so incredible, it's kind of nice.
I felt that way
it's
during
fun.
zip lining.
Oh, my God.
No, I did. It was similar. It was similar.
You were,
I
like,
felt like
over water.
this thing is. I'm held together by this rope and this. Yeah, that scared the hell out of me, and I'm like,
Well,
oh my god, this
also,
could be it.
You feel that way when you go under the knife, when a surgeon is now
Yes.
going to
True,
put
yeah.
you to sleep and you are in their hands.
Right.
Well, so that's that. You have to have that courage to do it, but you also have to understand that there are chances that you will
Of
not come back.
course.
Yeah,
What's
you
up,
know what?
Scotty
You know
B?
what's funny is since I've had kids, I stopped completely taking unnecessary risks. So I won't do any of that thrill-seeking stuff. Like I would go in hot air balloons and blimps and stuff with Greg T all the time, and then since I had kids, I won't do any of that stuff anymore because they
makes
need me.
sense.
I need to be here for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a responsibility. Okay, so if you're running OceanGate and you're taking Titan down to the depths of hell, basically, I mean, he had, it seems, not 1 ounce of that same responsibility for human life.
Yeah, he didn't seem to care.
No.
Didn't seem to care.
No, he was on a mission.
And he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
And that's what,
They said he wanted to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos.
Yep.
It was a D swinging contest, and that's all he wanted to do was come back and be like, "Look what I did."
And he actually
did it
used
at all
D swinging,
costs.
didn't he?
Yeah.
He used like that term and said that he wanted to be one of the big D swingers.
He swung his D.
Yeah.
And it wasn't much D to swing, obviously. It Titan, it's the ocean. Wait. I can't read my writing. Titan. What is it?
The OceanGate submersible disaster.
Yeah, can you read that on that? Look.
No, I don't.
No.
That says something about a duck.
Exactly. Anyway, Titan, the OceanGate disaster. Check it out and let us know what you think.